Welcome to the Pick'ems for Week 14. We can't believe that there's only 4 weeks left till the end of the season. But that's not the biggest news of the week. The biggest news of the week is that Brazil is out of the World Cup. I'm getting a lot of hateful stares that I'm still talking about the World Cup, but guess what? I will talk about it till the day that it is over. And even beyond then, we're talking about this for the rest of the season. Welcome to K&A Football. On the show today, for our third week in a row, we have a very special guest. Very special. Special in the kind of like, oh, he's special kind of way. That would be... Let's see, how do I want to introduce him? I guess that he's our youth pastor, avid supporter of the show and friend of the show, avid hunter, Harold Mansfield. Oh, avid Browns fan too, in case you couldn't tell by the attire. How you doing, Harold?
Good. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, like I said when I first walked in, I think Carrie said this a couple of weeks ago too. Like I had no expectations, and I'm impressed with what I see. It's gonna be awesome. I'm excited for today.
Good. It's pretty exciting. We noticed that you have some analytics over there.
Yeah, I felt like I needed to do my homework. Right, I needed to be prepared as much as I could. Because I probably don't know as much about the NFL as you guys do, as far as name dropping and players and where they're going. But I've been watching the game for a long time, so I wanted to be prepared when I came. So
nice. Yeah, Austin's got notes today, and Harold's got notes today, and I'm just sitting here, and I'm like, oh. So I think next week I'm gonna have my notes of my own. But
yeah, I saw Harold yesterday, and he had printed off like a stack of like 45 sheets of paper. And he's like, these are all my notes for K&A tomorrow. So I was like, ah, man. So I then went home and I spent about 2 hours doing some research and getting some stuff down. So, forcing us to be better.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie too. Like there were moments this week when one of my daughters was like, Dad, can we? And I was like, yo, I got to do some homework for the show. Like I got to finish watching this video. I got to listen to the rest of this podcast. Give me 5 minutes. Give me 10 minutes. So we'll see if it paid off later.
We'll see. We'll see when Caden looks like an idiot because he doesn't know what he's talking about, like usual.
Oh,
I'm kidding. I'm messing,
Shots
Caden.
fired.
I'm messing, Caden. We're the hosts here. We should be both of us against the guest.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how it should be.
And Harold's also the creator of our amusing slideshow.
That's true. That is true. We meet the creator of the slideshow. We weren't doing the slideshow, right? We were just doing like the pegboard up there, and Harold was like, hey, you should do the slideshow. And then he made it for us, sent it to us, and we've been using the same template ever since. Pretty big deal.
So I think it's better.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think I need to try to figure out too how to get I might need to figure out how to get you a bigger TV or something too.
That'd be great.
The bigger the better. All right, let's jump into the Monday night game. The NFL scriptwriters decided to just copy and paste from the rest of Tom Brady's career and say, okay, so the Saints are up 16-3, and that's a pretty big deal. But what if we have the Saints running back step out of bounds on third down, forcing the Saints to punt with 1 yard to go to give Tom Brady a chance? And that's exactly what happened, and the Buccaneers ended up winning.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I should say I was surprised about this game because, the Bucs aren't really what they used to be, and Tom Brady is showing his age. I'm not ready to say he's washed up yet, but he's definitely showing his age.
He's washed up.
And, the Aints, they were like ready to take this game and bring more parity into the beauty of that division and, breathe more life into Cadence. Should we, tank, or do we have a legitimate chance of winning the division? And then Tom Brady said, no, I still got a couple in me. And, he got a little bit of help from the refs, but that's to be expected when it's Tom Brady. I've never seen a game that Tom Brady won that he didn't get a little bit of help from the refs.
That's true.
Right?
I mean, yeah, I obviously was going into this game. We all knew the Bucs were going to win. There's no way Tom Brady's going to lose to this bad of a Saints team. And so, obviously, if the Bucs lost, that's awesome. That helps the Panthers a lot. But if they lose, the Panthers still are sitting in a pretty decent position. They can still go win the division. And so going into the game, I wasn't going to be mad if the Bucks win because I was expecting it. But then they played so bad, and the Saints were just like they were owning them on everything. And then I was like, oh, the Saints actually got this. And then when the Bucks came back and won, then I was actually upset because I was like, the Aints gave me hope. This is why you can't root for them. Like, this is why the Saints are the worst team. Like, you can't ever rely on them.
I hate that too because as a huge Buckeye fan and an alumni, like they consistently draft Buckeyes and those Buckeyes consistently perform.
Yeah.
So when the team as a whole is garbage, it just it gets projected onto me as like, oh yeah, the Buckeyes aren't that good. It's like no. Like the team's just really bad. If you look at the performers on that team from Ohio State, like they're consistently contributing. So yeah, it was disappointing. And I will say too, my take is that you can't pin it all on the running. I'm obviously go another yard before you step out of bounds, get the first down. But I mean, your defense now has to show up because the guy made a mistake, which happens in football. So your
it's
defense,
a team sport. It's not one guy's fault.
Your defense has to show up and stop them from scoring literally 10 points. Or was it? Yeah, 10 points.
13.
13 points. That's right. They were down 13
points.
Well, and Olave dropped a big wide open play, and so did Jarvis Landry. So I mean, it wasn't just the running back. Obviously,
right?
It's going to be pinned on the running back because that was at the very end of the game, and it was like, oh, if he just went forward and got the first, but no one player loses you a game.
Yeah.
Unless it's the kicker, and yes, they lose you games.
Shots fired. All right, so this was the Thursday night game, and if you notice, the score is exactly the same as the Monday night game. NFL writers got a little lazy and just used the Monday night game on the Thursday night game. Same scenario, except this time, the Baker Mayfield, who we all here have experience.
We all share a rare
bond of having Baker, and now at Preston Bowman, if you're watching, you get to share that bond too. Baker Mayfield came in on, was it Tuesday? Came in Tuesday night to the Rams facility and learned like 6 plays. I'm sure they were using a very abridged playbook, and came out here and led a game-winning drive, 98 yards to end up winning it for the Rams. Best part about that, though, was at the end of the game, he had to ask someone, okay, now how do I get out of here? Because he had no idea where to go.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big stadium. I will say, too, that this one surprised me. I'm not going to lie. I went to bed. I was like, yeah, game's over. Baker's their QB. I've seen this play out before.
Yeah.
He's going to throw a pick or try to overperform, and Rams going to lose. So I went to bed, and then I woke up, and I saw Caden's text like, wow. Like I was like, what happened? So I had to get on ESPN and watch the highlights because I was like completely oblivious to how that game had finished. But
yeah, I mean, we've seen this kind of before in Baker when he has no expectations and kind of has that underdog mentality. He plays great, but then the second he plays great and people are like, oh, maybe Baker is like the guy now. Maybe like what we expected him to be, and he completely folds. It happened with the Browns. He didn't ever do good this year with the Panthers, but he folded all year with the Panthers, and now he did good with no expectations with the Rams. He was playing the Raiders, who also have lost to an ESPN analyst as a head coach. I mean, great for Baker, happy for Baker, but I think people got to pump the brakes a little bit.
Hold on, was that a shot at Jeff Saturday?
It was. He's literally not a head coach.
Oh my god. Well, first off, like he is technically privileged to be one of the 32 head coaches in the league right now. Second off, if you ask Peyton Manning, which, I mean, I wouldn't say Peyton Manning is a slouch, he would tell you that Jeff Saturday was one of the brightest offensive minds that he ever played with, which is why Peyton and Jeff made the perfect center quarterback combo, reading coverages and then calling plays and making audibles based on that.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean you can go just be a coach right away. I mean, the last time he coached was in high school.
Does he not look like he can motivate men? I mean, he'd motivate me. Like, I look at the guy and I'm like,
So you think the Steelers should just go, Steelers have a bad year next year, they fire Mike Tomlin. You think they should just go sign Ben Roethlisberger as their next coach? Because he was a good offensive mind.
First off, I mean, I had a roommate in college who tutored Ben in math in high school. So I don't know if I could go as far as to say that Ben's an offensive mind. It's not a knock on Ben. Ben, if you're watching, not a knock on you. But I will say that Mike Tomlin played football, so it's not like he's some guy that just took some courses and then learned how to give good speeches. I think that's a huge part of it. Like, part of the other thing is, like, we look at quarterbacks, we look at players and say, hey, we throw you into this spot, and if you swim, then you're meant to be in the league. And sometimes it's trial by fire. Now, that may just be me as a Browns fan, because that's what we do. We take a guy and we're like, well, the guy we got's not good, so we're just going to throw you in and add you to the list of however 20-some QBs we've had.
Yeah.
And if you work out, you work out. But I will say, too, that, like, why not do that with a coach? Like, if Jeff Saturday has the mental capacity, if he has the ability to motivate men, like, why not throw him in and see what happens? What's the worst thing that can happen? They don't win, and they don't keep Saturday. I mean, that's not a bad gamble, at least for, I think, the Colts organization.
Right, especially because there's no real losing in the Colts situation right now. Because obviously, if you bring in a guy and you have him as your head coach, he is our head coach. Week 1, we're starting him as our head coach. Okay, now there's pressure. Now it's not throw your head coach in and it's trial by fire. Now it's this guy has to perform because you've put your faith in this guy. If you pick him up halfway through the season because you don't like the way that your coach is doing it, and you're like, okay, our season is a lost cause at this point. We're bringing an interim head coach. There's no pressure on that guy. If he doesn't work, he doesn't work. Okay, you tanked. You got a better pick. There you go. If he works, great. Now you can have a conversation about keeping him for the next year, a couple years after. At this point, I don't think Jeff Saturday is going to be kept as the head coach just because, he hasn't won a game since the Raiders game, and the Raiders have proven themselves to be really bad at maintaining leads and winning games. But it's obviously not a terrible position for Jeff Saturday to be in as an interim head coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think getting back to this game and the teams involved, like, if you look at the Raiders, right? That's what they did. I forget the interim head coach that came in last year, but he did amazing, especially when you're comparing him to Josh McDaniels, who's this, great offensive mind, Belichick coaching tree, has all the credentials, and doesn't look like it's working out. But that's just my take.
They went to the playoffs last year with that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And now they're left with what they are. I will say, too, are we going to move on? Because before we move on, I have a question for Caden.
Go for it.
Oh, man.
I was just curious if you think that the Rams supporting cast is better than the Chargers supporting cast.
Right now, like, when both healthy, I think, obviously Cooper Kupp is one of the best receivers in the league. But, like, right now, the people that Baker played with last night, I would say no because of so many injuries.
Because that to me is just fascinating. I know Caden and I have this back and forth banner involving the greatness or mediocreness of Mr. Herbert, who is one QB for the Chargers. And it's interesting for me to hear from you that the Rams have a worse supporting cast than the Chargers, and yet Baker Mayfield, who all of us would agree is not him, was able to take that supporting cast that's ranked 29th in offense and 22nd in passing versus the Chargers, whose offense is ranked 17th and 6th in passing, which 6th in passing makes you go, oh, Herbert, he's him. But I will say, Herbert was unable to beat the Raiders, and Baker did, with worse surrounding cast, what Herbert couldn't do.
Baker did beat the Raiders, but the Raiders also scored 27 points against the Chargers and 16 against the Rams. If the Raiders scored 27 against the Rams right there, they win by double digits.
Right. And yet the Rams supporting cast is worse.
The offense is worse. I think the defense, Rams defense is not that bad. They got Jalen Ramsey.
He was blanketed all over Devontae, which that's the other story of this game. Why doesn't Derek Carr throw to Devontae? Are the tears blinding him?
It has to. He threw for 11 yards in the second half.
That's stupid.
He threw for 11 yards in the second half of this football game. Guess what, Derek? A football game doesn't end after 30 minutes. It's 60 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I will say, too, that when I was looking at some of the stats for this game, I picked the Raiders to win because I thought for sure that they would be able to pull it out. I will say, and that was on the Instagram pick'em that you guys had up.
Mhm.
But I'll say too, like the interesting thing about Devontae Adams is he, in his entire career at Green Bay, had 0 games with less than 4 catches. 0 games. So Aaron Rodgers was finding him at least 4 times a game for his entire career. He goes to the Raiders. He's had 4 games this season without 4 catches. And that was the same thing on Monday night. He didn't have 4 catches. But yeah, that was just interesting. So
Derek Carr's the worst. Russell Wilson and Derek Carr are on the same level.
don't make Derek cry.
All right, let's jump into the pick'ems.
This week's K&A Pick'ems.
All right, so first on the agenda, Vikings at Lions. Caden, Harold and I have all the statistics, so we'll let you start.
Hey, I'll bring them next week. My bad. So yeah, the Lions are kind of on a roll right now, winning 3 or 4 in a row now. They look really good. I mean, they destroyed the Jaguars last week, but I mean, like, it's the Jaguars. Or I'm sorry, not 3 or 4 in a row. They lost to the Bills on Thanksgiving,
Yep.
but it was still a good game. Almost beat a really good team in the Bills.
they were close.
Yeah, but the Vikings are what, 10-2,
Yep.
and unstoppable when they play at 1:00. And this game is at 1:00, so I'm going to go Vikings.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if it's at 4:15 or 8, I'm picking Lions, which is actually sad to say that actually plays effect in who I pick in the game, but I'm going to pick the Vikings.
I was surprised because looking at the performance of the teams, currently, like the Lions should easily win this game. Like the Lions offense is 9th and the Minnesota Vikings is 23rd, which I was shocked when I found that out. The defenses are about the same, 30th for the Vikings and 31st for the Lions. So should be a high scoring game. No one's going to play defense. Passing is, again, pretty similar, 13th for the Vikings and 9th for the Lions. The Lions are favored in this game.
I know.
I mean, I know you guys don't look at the betting lines.
I actually did this week because of Daniel last week.
Yeah.
I was like, let's check out the betting lines.
They're
Okay,
minus like 3.5,
the
right?
spread, -2 for the Lions. Money line, Vikings +105. Lions -125.
Why are they favored?
I don't know why they're favored.
It's got to be because they have the hot hand, right?
It's gotta
and they're
be.
coming off of playing Buffalo really well.
And they're at home. Home field advantage.
Look, like
In Detroit?
in Detroit, yeah, at Ford Field. Literally, like, I looked at this game and I was like, okay, in my mind, Vikings, just immediately. I'm like, Lions, I'm sorry, you've been playing well, but the Vikings will win this game. And then I go and look into it a little bit, and like, betting odds are showing Lions favored. It's like, I'm gonna take the Vikings. If I'm a betting person, I'm taking the Vikings. That's a good deal for me because I think the Vikings are gonna win, and the odds
But you're not a
show
betting
against it.
person.
I don't bet.
Well, you
I don't
can't bet in
gamble.
Ohio
Oh, that's
until
right.
January 1st.
Yeah, well, I can go out of state. No big deal.
You're also underage.
I'm 18.
Oh, that's right.
I'm
No,
18.
he's good. Yeah,
I'm
we're
good to go. I'm legal.
Yeah, we can,
Let's go.
we can make a run. Just kidding.
But yeah, I'm going Vikings. No doubt in my mind, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping for a little bit more parity as this continues, but Minnesota.
I thought you were going to go Lions, by the way you said. Lions should win this game, looking at.
Well, they
Yeah,
should
yeah,
if you
I know
look
what
at
you
if you look at the betting odds. So that makes me a little timid just because Vegas might know something that we didn't know.
Yeah,
But
Kirk Cousins going to end up not playing or something.
Vegas knows.
Yeah.
you picked Vikings.
Yeah, we all did.
All right, this is pretty big divisional game. Ravens at Steelers. You may not think that it's a big game because the Ravens are 8-4 and leading the division, tied with the Bengals currently. But I mean, they're both pretty well in the conversation for playoff contention. And the Steelers are 5-7. They are in the same position as the Browns. They have to win out if they want any chance at the playoffs. The reason that this is a big game is because Lamar Jackson is doubtful for this game.
I mean, there's no way he plays. They said he's out for 1 to 3 weeks.
Right.
I don't see the way.
I
that
don't
he
see a way that
plays.
he plays. It's a possibility he's not going to play.
He's on a contract year.
He's not going to play. Yeah. I mean, he's not going to go in on a contract year and destroy his knee again and then not play for the rest of the year and not get paid. He won't play. So the Steelers have to win this game, and they have a legitimate chance to do so against this Ravens team without Lamar Jackson, who, this Ravens team only beat the Broncos by 1 point last week without Lamar Jackson.
Let's ride.
That's right, man. Russ cannot cook, okay? So this is an interesting game. It's going to be hopefully a good game, but I think probably low scoring if I had to guess. Who do you guys have for this one?
Wow, this is really hard. Growing up in Hartford, Ohio, being a lifetime Browns fan, like your enemy is the Squealers, and then it turns out that your franchise, because of Art Modell, becomes the Ratbirds.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like
Speaking
the
of which,
Squealers.
you guys want to go like stomp on his grave or something after this?
No, I can't do that. I think a man got arrested for doing something interesting on Art Modell's grave years ago. But yeah, this is really hard. But my ideal has always been your enemy over your traitor. So with my heart, I always root for the Squealers twice a year when they play the Ratbirds. And then again, like you said, Lamar's out. J.K. Dobbins is out, and they barely eked out a win over the Broncos, which is shocking. I know they have to win it in the division, but I'm taking Squealers.
I mean, yeah. Obviously, Lamar isn't playing, and J.K. Dobbins isn't playing. And he came in last week. I mean, granted, he wasn't slated to play at all. Obviously, Lamar got all the reps in practice last week. No one's expecting him to get hurt. And then he comes and barely beats them, but he had no reps, He has all the reps this week in practice, like preparing. Everything's for him now. And he's still a serviceable backup. Like, he won them a decent amount of games last season. I think the Ravens are still going to win.
Interesting.
Really?
Wow.
I cannot believe you're taking the Ravens.
I can't either.
Who's their backup again? I don't even
Tyler
know.
Huntley. He's very similar to Lamar Jackson.
He is very similar. He's a running quarterback. He's not as good.
He isn't as good. He's a great runner, but he has very similar throwing abilities. I mean, Lamar's not a great thrower, so he can still throw as good. He can't run as well, but he's still got Mark Andrews. Their defense is great.
Yeah, I mean, it was a smart move by the Ravens to bring in a backup that is exactly like Lamar Jackson, so you don't have to change the scheme at all. Keep the offensive scheme. You got the same type of guy. I am going to go with the Steelers in this one. Obviously, they played the Broncos last week, and they have a stout defense. Okay, Broncos have the number 7 defense. That's pretty good, and you're playing with a backup. Okay, you do barely etch out and win with only 10 points. Okay, Steelers have the 13th ranked defense, so it's similar enough. It's not as good, but it's pretty close as well. The Broncos score 14.27 points per game.
That's bad.
That's bad. But the reason that I bring that up is because the Steelers score 15.6 points a game. That would be enough. Okay, if they had played the Steelers team last week and the Steelers, keep on that average of that amount of points, the Ravens would have lost. Okay, they only beat the Broncos by a point. So, for all of those reasons, as well as the reason that Mike Tomlin defense is always fantastic, especially against in-division opponents, I'm going to go Steelers.
Yeah, and Tomlin's never had a losing season.
No.
Ever.
Going to this year.
No.
Maybe.
I do not
They
believe
haven't
so.
coached it yet?
No, I don't think so.
The Steelers are 5-7.
Yeah, I mean, they got to get to 9 losses, right?
Wow.
18-game season.
That's crazy.
Well, 18-game season, right, they have to get to 9 losses. So they have to lose 2 times in the next 4 weeks?
Or 17-game season.
Well, right, it's 18 weeks, but you only play 17
Yes,
games.
they got to get to 9 losses still. So
It's crazy that Mike Tomlin still has a chance to not have a losing season.
He's insane.
He's a good coach.
Yeah.
Jeez. But yeah, I think Tyler Huntley can do it. Personally.
All right, this is a big one.
We gotta let Harold talk for a second.
Yeah, we'll let Harold
Talk for a second. What do you?
Or a couple seconds.
Harold,
What do you want me to
you've
talk
been a
about?
Browns fan for. I mean, I'm the biggest Browns fan on this podcast,
Probably.
but
yeah.
you've been a Browns fan for longer than I've been alive.
That's true.
So I'm gonna let you talk about this one.
So for me, it's easy. I have a good friend who was college roommate who grew up in Cincinnati.
He was a tutored Ben Roethlisberger.
No, that is my friend who grew up in Findlay. and he had nothing to do with football until Ben went to Pittsburgh,
really?
and then he just adopted the Squealers as his team and would brag
that's right,
about
that's
like
what you
6
said. Yeah,
championships. And I was like, bro, you literally weren't like a part of any of those except for the last one when the bus literally carried Ben Roethlisberger over the goal line. But yeah, so my friend Miles is his name. Him and I have both had like long suffering relationships with our football teams where we've seen periods of success and periods of just brutal torture. Short and long of it is that I have to take the Browns. One, because in recent history, they own Joey Burrow, Ohio kid. But I will say, too, that I'm looking for Myles Garrett to actually be the impact player in this game that everyone thinks he is. In my personal take, you guys have heard this before, is that Myles Garrett is not an impact player. He's not Micah Parsons. If I look at like the statistics, he does his best work against the worst offensive lines. That's where he actually shows up and makes it look like he's good.
I mean, isn't that where every defense goes up, though?
But still.
It should, but when he plays a good offensive line,
Well, I mean, that's why they're a good offensive line, though.
Yeah, but
They
it's
stop the
zero.
defense.
But if you're a great generational defensive end, you can still make it work against those bad or great offensive lines.
like J.J. Watt or Micah Parsons, like guys who are game wreckers, like they, in the last minutes of the game, when Miles is on the sideline huffing and puffing because he had COVID 3 years ago, so did I. It's like, bro, what are you doing on the sideline? Like, you're not conditioned. You need to be wrecking this game, whether it's from the outside or whether it's from the inside. And what I found in just the eye test and then in research is that Jadeveon Clowney, he's him. He's one of our best defensive players. He's the game impact player. And Miles shows up against the worst offensive lines, and he shows up when Jadeveon Clowney is also having a game.
Don't you think that Jadeveon Clowney would show up, though, because teams recognize that Myles Garrett is our best player, and so they double team Garrett and leave Clowney one-on-one?
So that's what you would think, but if you watch the game, that doesn't happen. Even in a one-on-one situation, Jadeveon Clowney is beating his man. In the blitz, Jadeveon Clowney is putting more pressure on when everyone's marked 1-for-1 because the linebackers come in or they're bringing the safety off the end. I'm telling you, I know everyone's like, what? How can you say this as a Browns fan? Myles Garrett is the guy. We finally got him. And it's like,
do you think that
No,
Myles
he's not.
Garrett has less production this season than in past seasons, or do you think just overall throughout his whole career he's not been him?
see, so that's where it's a little deceptive because like the numbers, he has 10 sacks this year.
Yeah.
So
Like he's going to meet his, like, he's going to maintain his numbers.
right. But again, like I was saying, 2 of those sacks came against New England. All right, let's just take that one, which currently New England has the 7th ranked offensive line. So this is a point where you're like, Harold, you're wrong, right? Clearly. But when the Browns played them, their offensive line was ranked 23rd. So
Yeah.
I didn't go as far as to look at like who was out, who was injured, who didn't play, who's gotten better, the cohesion they've been able to build. But that's just one game, again, where he had a 5th of his sacks total for the season. And he's playing one of the worst offensive lines. The eye test would tell me that, again, the Bengals have a horrible offensive line. It's currently ranked 22nd in the league, so in the middle. But last game, he had 1.5 sacks, no forced fumbles. He had 2 tackles. One of those tackles being solo, one of them being assisted against the Bengals. I look for him to do the same thing. And if he can get 1.5 sacks, or if he can get 2 sacks, that's the difference that he can make in a game. But it's not the level of a Darnold or a Parsons or a Watt. It's just not. So, I mean, I'm not knocking him. I'm not saying that he's not good, but I am saying that he is overrated.
Well, I don't think anyone would pass on,
Parsons.
Wow. I don't think anyone would pass on those guys. Especially, like, I love Myles Garrett. I really do. But if you were like, okay, here are your options. You get either Myles Garrett or Micah Parsons. No brainer. I'm taking Micah Parsons.
Oh, yeah,
No
we'll
hate
trade you
Myles
tomorrow.
Garrett.
Yeah. Jerry, if you're listening.
Jerry, if you're listening, we will take him. Okay? He's got some political takes recently that maybe will get him kicked out of the league. And the Browns have a thing for bringing people back into the league. So
Sure.
I'm all for it.
It worked out for Hunt.
I'm here
and
for all of it.
It's yet to see what's going to happen with Deshaun, but
But all that's to say, I too am going to go with the Browns. The Bengals did beat the Chiefs last week, which is big. Joe Burrow is now 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes. He has, however, never beat the Browns, and he gets to play them twice a year. So, based on the history between Burrow and the Browns, and especially Kevin Stefanski and Zach Taylor, I'm going to go with the Browns. Obviously, still cause for concern that Deshaun Watson is probably still going to be pretty rusty. Again, last week was 700 days that he hadn't played football, so now we're at 707 days, but he did play last week. He looked bad, though.
Right, but like Caden said with Huntley, because I'm assuming Caden's also going to pick the Browns, because I know he loves the Browns.
Yeah, he does. He would never want to see us suffer
Right.
for the sake
any
of...
more than we already have had to.
Yeah.
Like Caden said about Huntley, like Deshaun's had all week. He's taken all the reps.
He had all week the week before though.
Yeah, but now he's
And
got 2 weeks.
He's going to be he's going to be better.
Yeah.
He's going to be ready to rock, and he's going to be putting points on the board.
Hopefully. Either that or our defense against the terrible Bengals O-line will step it up and our secondary is actually healthy now.
Yeah.
So we stand a chance.
This one is really tough. Like, I know the Browns every time they play the Bengals. They find a way to win every time.
It's not find a way to win. We find a way to win substantially.
Yeah.
We win by
But
multiple scores.
I don't physically see how. I mean, this Bengals team is great. They're 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes. They just beat the Chiefs last week. They look dominant. Jamar Chase is back. I'm going to pick the Bengals. If the Browns win this game, I will not pick the Bengals to beat the Browns and another pick 'em until the opposite result happens. I don't care how bad one team is and good the other team is. I just can't see
That's
I can't see a Deshaun Watson-led team who last week, unfortunately, his receivers aren't 1 foot tall, so he can't just throw it at their feet and they catch it. They're up here, so he can't throw it down here and they catch it.
Good point.
I can't see a way that this rusty Deshaun Watson can go beat this Bengals team. If they win, I'd be shocked. And it's just the Bengals will never beat the Browns.
Do you think that
So I'm going Bengals, yeah.
you're going Bengals? See, I would agree that the Bengals will probably win this division, but I think the Browns are going to win this game.
I mean, yeah.
I think the Raptors are going to bring more parity back into the division when they lose to the Squealers. And then the Browns,
Right.
if the Browns win this game, I mean, this division's a toss-up. It's a coin toss as to who could come out of it. I know Baltimore and Cincinnati would still be in the lead of the division, technically, by record. But
within division games, it's
Mm-hmm.
really up in the air.
Counts too.
Everyone's beat everyone in this division.
yeah,
It's going to be interesting. Was Watson still going to look rusty? I think so. And if he is, I think the Bengals win.
then they just run the ball. Run the ball.
That's
Give
what
it
I'm
to
saying.
Chubb.
Give it
When
to
he gets
Chubb.
tired, give it to Hunt.
I'm here for all of it. That's what I want. All right, so this is Jets at Bills. Where did my notes go for that? Oh, there it is, right on top. No, it's Bills at Jets. What am I talking about?
No, it's just
No,
Bills.
it's Jets at Bills. You're right.
Oh, I was right the first time.
Yeah.
Go me.
It's in New York.
It is in New York, not New Jersey. So this game is the legend of Mike White continues. He played pretty solidly last week against the Vikings. Obviously, couldn't pull it off in the last dying seconds of the game on a 4th and 10. But, that's kind of what happens when you have a second string quarterback. And the Bills have continued to look pretty good. This obviously has some pretty big implications for the AFC East, because while the Bills are still in the lead, that division's really close as well, and another division that really could go either way. If the Bills lose a couple, if the Jets win a couple, if the Dolphins win a couple, it can really go any way other than the Patriots' way.
Yeah. I mean, these teams played earlier in the year, and Josh Allen really struggled in that game. And the Jets won, which was like kind of the eye-opener this season for the Jets, where people were like, wow, maybe the Jets are kind of for real. And they struggled then with Zach Wilson, so they moved to Mike White, and now they're getting results on offense as well as defense. I'm going to go Bills just because I don't see a way that Josh Allen doesn't win this revenge game. It's a big division game. They want to maintain in the battle for first in the AFC. I'm going to go Bills. Mike White, don't get me wrong, great quarterback. He's done great for them so far, but he's not the level of Josh Allen.
Yeah, it seems like New York this season has just been trying to figure out what the hot hand is. I mean, they've had some injuries at quarterback, but between the triad of quarterbacks that they've used, including Joe Flacco, they've just like, okay, who's the hot hand this week?
Sounds kind of like an NFC South team.
Yeah, like who's the hot hand? We'll just ride with him and see what happens. And they've been able to pull out some games that they shouldn't have won.
Yeah.
As a Browns fan, I'll admit that.
No, all too well.
But I'll say, like, one, I should have looked at the weather of this game. That's the one thing I didn't do, but I should have done. I should have looked at what's the weather going to be like in Buffalo, because that's always a factor, except for in September and early October. But
where it is actually kind of nice.
Right. But Von Miller gives me pause. I mean, Von's out now. He tore his ACL and his meniscus, I think it was.
Yeah.
So he's pretty much out for the season unless he.
No, he's out for the season.
I mean, you say that, but T.O. came back for I think it was the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl.
When he tore an ACL?
Yeah, when he played for the Eagles. Like, he was cryo chamber and all this other stuff. Like, I forget what week that was that he went out, but everyone said, oh, he's done. And he came back and played in the Super Bowl. So I mean, I know he's out, but he might not be out completely, especially if the Bills make a deep run. But I'm still going to take the Bills. I think the Bills Mafia in Buffalo, Josh Allen, that team is way more physical. Poyer on that defense is a stud, and he always shows up. You never wonder, is he on the field? You always know he is.
He's the impact player.
Yeah, he is an impact player. He's a game wrecker. And I think that, White's not going to have enough. He's just not. And as much as I love Wilson dropped a big pass last week that arguably would have made a deep impact on that. I think it was the final drive of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't think New York has enough experience and enough grit to get past Buffalo again.
Yeah. Both of these teams have top 10 defense. Jets at 4, Bills at 6. So it's going to be a very defensive game. With that being said, obviously, I think that Josh Allen is a substantially better quarterback, and I think that the Bills have substantially better weapons than the Jets. So if you're taking two very good defenses, then it's just, okay, which offense is going to be able to pick apart that defense?
Right.
In the end, Bills, for sure. I can't see a Mike White that's played 2 games up until this point coming in, or 3 games. He played last year too, but this season playing 2 games, coming in and picking apart the Bills defense. So I'm going to go Bills.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think this game could surprise people kind of like it did last time, but I think the Bills will have it because of the revenge on their mind.
For sure.
Yeah. And it's a big game for them for playoff position as well.
Yeah. So we can go ahead and just skim past this game.
We can't skip this.
We can skip this game. It doesn't matter. This is Texans at Cowboys. Literally just take Texans logo right there. Go ahead and put Minnesota's logo over it. Go ahead and put the Colts logo over it. That's what's going to happen in this game. Absolute domination, blowout. Texans are rolling with Davis Mills again because they decided their other guy sucked worse. Does he? I don't know. Are they going for the tank? I don't know. They're 110-1.
So did Austin just say that the Cowboys are going to score 33 points in the fourth quarter against the Texans?
I didn't say he's going to score 33
There's no
points.
way because they're going to be resting their starters
at that point.
halftime.
Cooper Rush is going to be QB. I actually, fun story.
Yeah, I saw
Aaron Rodgers is out. Aaron Rodgers is on a bye week this week.
Right,
okay,
right.
And we're in a very deep league where like there's no quarterbacks available because it's like a 2 quarterback league, so you can't pick up
right, and this is dynasty, so you keep him year over year.
So I'm playing Austin this week, and so he doesn't have a quarterback because Aaron Rodgers is on a bye, so he needs a second quarterback.
And I have to win. If I don't, it's a must-win week.
If
I
either
win, I'm
me
in
or
the
Austin
playoffs.
wins and the team above us loses, the winner of me and Austin's game makes the playoffs, and the loser is out. And so he needs a quarterback, so he goes, and I noticed yesterday, he picks up Cooper Rush and puts him in as his other quarterback, who obviously is not projected to play at all or get any points, but obviously he's expecting a blowout, and then Cooper Rush comes in at the very end, plays like the second half, and scores some
Wow, I mean that's a bold move.
No, it's a really smart
I don't
move.
have any
Fortune
other
does favor the
quarterbacks.
bold, but well, who's to say that Dak was injured earlier this year?
No, but like, what
who's to
other
say they don't want him to get as many reps as possible?
anyone? They're going to take him out at halftime if they're killing
You think?
him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not that risky of a move because Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing anyways. He was giving you 0 points anyhow. Okay,
Right.
And no other
my
quarterback
other
could have gotten
quarterback
any
is
points.
Kyler Murray, so I really got to hope for Kyler to really pull something out.
Yikes.
And Cooper Rush is obviously projected to score 0 points because he's not projected to start this week. But if, like last week, the Cowboys actually score a bunch of points,
It's a really smart move. I laughed. when I
Cooper
thought-
Rush will probably make it in. He'll throw a couple, get me some points.
Maybe a garbage time interception.
No, hopefully not.
Whoa.
Ends with negative.
Well, and I will say that just knock that wood. I will say that the Cowboys are favored by 17.5. That's one of the largest spreads in a regular season NFL game between two teams. So that's huge. I mean, I wonder how long the defense is going to play though. Like how long is Micah Parsons going to be in there wreaking havoc? How many pick sixes will he have? Forced fumbles? Will he continue to make Miles look like he's not the DPOY? But yeah, and that's the other thing though, like, because I'm wondering as we're getting late, like, yeah, you want to rest your guys, but don't you want to see again how they continue to gel and how they perform? So that'll be interesting if Cooper does come in. But
I think this one's tough. I mean, the Texans are just. Obviously, I'm going Cowboys. We're all going Cowboys. Not much to say.
yeah, we're all
Cowboys
going Cowboys.
in a landslide.
Zeke's the man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, something like that.
yeah.
Pollard's the man.
what?
Tony Pollard's the man.
No,
Zeke's
well,
not the man.
if you look at the stats on that, Zeke only gets used in short yardage downs, and he gets used in a lot of run pass options.
I mean, yeah, Zeke's the better blocker for sure.
right.
But overall, I'd rather have Pollard over
Yeah, me
Zeke.
too.
But no, it depends on what it is. Pollard is definitely more explosive, right? But Zeke,
Yeah.
if you're on the 1 yard line or you're in the red zone, you give the ball to Zeke.
Yeah.
He just pounds. He pounds. So that's why his stats are skewed to make it look like Pollard's that much better. Now
Well-
Pollard's that much younger, but he's not that much better.
The one who's going to get you down the field is Pollard, and then Zeke's just going to go score the touchdown.
Yeah, you don't need Pollard to get you down the field. Look at all the offensive
straight
weapons
up,
you have.
I'd
And you
take
have
him.
Dak. He's mobile.
All right, this one is Eagles at Giants.
Actually, Austin, before we
Yeah. We
go
got a
on,
comment?
we got a comment in the chat from Kendra Klush. Her question is,
Big name.
is Josh Allen a real MVP caliber QB? What are your thoughts?
This season, no.
What?
What?
This season, no.
All right.
Why
Get
no?
out. Harold's going to take your seat in the chair.
This season, no. I don't think so. This season, I think the MVP is going to come down to Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes. I don't think Josh Allen really enters that
I
conversation.
think Josh
Top-
Allen
top
is
three,
number
right?
3 on that list.
Top 3 right now are Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and Joey B.
So you think, let's say, I hope this doesn't happen, Josh, because you're awesome. But let's say he gets hurt this week against the Jets.
Yeah.
Buffalo still makes it to the playoffs, and they still make it to the AFC Championship game.
I think that for the Bills, he is their best player, like undoubtedly. And he's a fantastic player. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying that for this season, he's not going to win the MVP. He's a fantastic player, and if he's out, the Bills are not winning a game.
But I don't think the question was, is he going to win MVP? It's, is he a MVP caliber player? Obviously, he is.
MVP caliber player, of course. Like, yeah, he's been in the conversation for the last couple of years. For this season, he's not going to win it. Is he going to be in the conversation? Sure, but realistically, he's not coming close to touching that trophy this year.
Okay.
See, that's interesting because I think the Bills last year, they obviously made a deeper run than the Packers. And I think they have the opportunity this year to make a deeper run than the Packers. I mean, the Packers supporting cast is in shambles. But we all know that the 2-time reigning MVP of the league is Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
That is true.
Not only did he, defeat most of the league and prove his dominance, but he also destroyed COVID. So, I mean, let's be honest. You don't have to be, that big of a your team doesn't have to stand out amongst all the other teams.
You just have to stand out.
You just have to stand out.
And I think that Jalen Hurts stands out more this season. I think Jalen Hurts is standing out more than Josh Allen, as well Patrick Mahomes is.
That's interesting.
That's just my take. I could be completely off base. That's what I think, though.
Because I think longevity also has to factor into how you rank these QBs. And Jalen Hurts hasn't done enough to prove. I mean, he said last season was, this season was definitely an improvement. He's showing that he's, climbing the mountain. But I would probably rank him above Josh Allen if I was drafting tomorrow.
If I was drafting tomorrow, yeah, but that doesn't mean he's going to win MVP. You know what I'm saying? Like Lamar Jackson, his first big season, he won MVP. And he didn't prove anything before that. It's just, okay, he's the most valuable player this year.
But in my
Lamar
mind,
Jackson.
if I would take Josh Allen because he's better than Jalen Hurts, then that makes him a better candidate for winning MVP of the league.
We'll see. When the final results come out, we'll see where they all fall. I don't think Josh Allen is touching top 4.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway.
To this game, Eagles win easily.
Probably, honestly. This is Eagles, Giants in New York. Obviously, this division is also pretty tight. This division has the chance to produce all 3 wildcard teams, which is pretty crazy. But, Eagles being 11-1, Giants being 7-4-1. The Eagles defense is fantastic, and they're really productive against the run. The Giants offense really this entire season has been handed to Saquon. I mean, Saquon's carried the ball for almost 40 carries every single game. So the Eagles defense being really good against the run, they stop Saquon. You have to trust Daniel Jones. I don't think that's a realistic expectation. Eagles win.
I'm still waiting. Again, I'm not wishing this on anyone. I'm still waiting for Hurts to get hurt. They have the 3rd ranked offense, and their rushing attack is 5th, and he's 15th in passing.
Yeah. I think a lot of quarterbacks could produce with the weapons that he has. He's probably in one of the best quarterback situations ever.
Well, and he's 15th in passing, right? We're talking about him in terms of MVP. He's 15th in passing. So
yeah,
a lot is done on the ground for that offense to run. But I have to pick the Eagles. I just don't think New York has enough. Now this may put a dagger in wherever OBJ decides to land next. He was dropping hints like it was going to be New York with Saquon, because Jerry's like, man, I don't know if he's going to be ready for this year. I'm going to have to pass. And man, if New York loses this game and drops further out of the playoff hunt, I don't think OBJ is going to want to go to a non-playoff team, regardless of where it is or what history he has with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, Eagles as well. Jalen Hurts, he's a great quarterback, don't get me wrong, but he is in the greatest situation for a quarterback arguably ever. He has the number 1 offensive line.
Other than the 49ers.
You could argue either way. I mean, they have the number 1 offensive line in the league. Their running game is incredible. They have so many great running backs on that team.
AJ defense.
Yeah, AJ Brown, unstoppable. Devontae Smith, an incredible wide receiver too. Their receivers are so fast. Dallas Goedert, great tight end. He's hurt, but still a great tight end when he's healthy. They still got a good backup tight end. And their defense, like Harold said, number 2. That's a great situation. Them and the Niners, probably the 2 best situations in the league. You could argue either one.
Well, and their coach, Sirianni, he's a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'd take him in a heart. No offense, Stefanski. We're still riding with you because we have to. But Sirianni, oh man, he's awesome to watch.
Yeah. Blowout game. Should be fun. It'd be interesting to see the Eagles team without Hurts, but hopefully we don't have to see that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Ooh. Man. So in my notes here, it says Jaguars at Titans. Then I have the records. Jaguars 4-8, Titans 7-5. And then what do I have here from my notes? Oh, it says Derrick Henry. That's all it says. Just says Derrick Henry. And I think that's all it needs to say. I think
That's what mine says too.
I think the Titans. I think the Titans are going to win this one. The Lions dismantled the Jaguars last week. So I think Titans win this one. No offense, Jags. You're going to get steamrolled by Derrick Henry.
Yeah, the Titans are coming off a loss, right?
Yep.
Who'd they lose to?
No, Titans lost
Oh,
to
the Titans
Eagles.
game.
To the
Oh,
Eagles.
Yeah.
They traded away the wide receiver Brown, which was interesting that the GM
Got fired.
and Vrabes, Coach Mike Vrabel,
Mm-hmm.
Buckeye, Ohio boy, he's still there.
He's a great coach.
Oh, he is. I'd take Vrabes overnight too. No offense, Stefanski. We're riding with you because we have to. But I will say that, like,
I'm smelling some heat on the fantasy just a little bit.
I will say with Brett, like, he's going to find a way to win. He's one of those coaches, too, that doesn't have a set game plan every week. They game plan and they scheme against who they're playing, which I think, he comes out of the Patriots and the Belichick line pretty much. But yeah, Derrick Henry all day. The Titans are going to be hungry. They're going to be angry. And Braves is going to be proving that he's real and that the GM who got fired obviously was wrong again. And they'll be looking for a new GM.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, one that will actually be willing to pay their wide receivers.
yeah.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence doesn't have enough. He's not.
Trevor Lawrence is not him. I'm sorry to anyone who thought he was him. He's not.
Yeah.
He's a kind of a bust of a pick.
He peaked in Clemson.
He did. I assume you're.
Oh, I
did you
didn't
say-
pick.
did you say
I didn't
Titans?
realize I didn't pick my game. I'm also going Titans. I mean, there's not much to say. Derrick Henry can run for 300 yards on them.
Yeah.
It's really. I mean, they don't even need to throw the ball. Probably Jaguars they're not it.
Absolutely.
Oh, and this game is going to be an interesting one as well. You got a dominant team in the Chiefs, and you got an even more dominant team in the Broncos.
Yeah. Look, hell no fury like Patrick Mahomes after losing. And when you have...
Are you saying Patrick Mahomes is a woman?
I am not saying that, no. Though his Head and Shoulders commercials might say otherwise. So obviously, Chiefs at Broncos. Is it at Broncos?
Yes.
Yeah, it's at
doesn't
Broncos.
matter.
Doesn't
It doesn't matter anyways. 100% correct. Broncos, Russell Wilson cannot cook. He cannot do anything. He is just the worst. Still at 8 touchdowns for the year. He's still sitting at 8.
12 bathrooms.
12 bathrooms
Haven't
in this
renovated.
house. We're not letting this one go.
That was fire.
Not letting this
He
one
needs
go
to
until he hits
renovate,
it.
take away some of the bathrooms
He
so that
does.
he
He
can
needs to
shut
take his
up.
bathrooms down to
So
8,
everyone
man.
can shut up about the touchdowns.
So true. Broncos, you are going to get destroyed. I don't care how good your defense is. Patrick Mahomes will destroy you.
I'm going to take the Chiefs. My only question is, who is their backup QB, and do you want him
Ooh.
instead of Cooper Rush? That's my only question.
Hey, please stop helping him. Play him this week.
Here's your answer. I don't know who their backup QB is.
No, yes you do. He beat the Browns in the playoffs. What's his butt? Henny?
Whoa.
Whoa. Hey.
When we lost to them in the playoffs, that was the Zebras that beat us.
Yeah, that was a
Not
touchdown. I hate to break it to
the
you.
Chiefs.
That was a touchdown.
Yeah, whatever.
So,
All right.
We won that. We only lost that game by like 5. That's
So back to what we were saying.
That's what we were saying. Don't know who his backup quarterback is. Doesn't matter. Cooper Rush, because this defense is way better than the Texans
true.
defense.
Wow, yeah, that's a good point.
That's fair. He'll come in and throw picks. Yeah, obviously going Chiefs. I think they could be playing any team. And I'd be going with Chiefs after Mahomes lost last week. He's going to come back with a vengeance, and especially against as bad of a team as the Broncos are, no chance they win.
No.
Seahawks fans around the world are rejoicing because they're going to have a top 3 pick
Yes, they are.
after getting rid of Russell Wilson and getting a better quarterback and getting great draft picks for years to come.
Seahawks are in playoff conversation. They're not in there yet. They're still in the hunt. They got to win some games. They got to have some teams lose. But they're in the conversation, which is a great position to be in when you know that you have a top 3 pick.
Mhm. And hey, Broncos fans, you're no longer being looked at as the worst trade of the year. Brittany Griner was traded.
Yeah, Russia
That's
called
so
up.
true, though. It's
Russia
so
called up Pete Carroll, and they were like, "Okay, how do we just finesse the heck out of this trade?" Pete Carroll gave us some tips, made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's not,
great take.
it's not wrong though.
Great take. Not wrong.
Harold, I assume you're going Chiefs.
Oh yeah. I already said sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
going Chiefs. My only question again was for
Oh,
you
yeah,
about
that's right, yeah,
fantasy. Yeah.
No. Speaking of Seahawks,
All right, Caden, you want to talk about Panthers Seahawks? Big game for you.
big
Down
game.
there.
You know,
In Seattle.
in
in
Seattle.
Seattle. That's
man.
that is what makes it very difficult. Hey.
I think that's
Hey.
the least of your concerns.
What? Our defense is great. I think we can stop the Seahawks offense.
Can you score though,
No. Let me
Mr.
listen.
Broncos?
Mr. Broncos. We are
Defense.
better than the Broncos. We cooked the Broncos.
Defense is rated 17.
Yeah.
So
Ours?
yeah.
Okay. Because of the Bengals game. Aside from that game, we are a very great defense. And Kenneth Walker, superstar rookie running back for the Seahawks, and his backup are both listed as game time decisions.
Yep.
I don't think Kenneth Walker's going to play.
I don't think so either.
He's supposed to miss a week, maybe 2 weeks, but I think their backup, DJ Dallas, will play. But still, that's obviously not Kenneth Walker. I think they can stop whatever running back's running at them that's not Kenneth Walker. So that's a big help. I think J.C. Horn, he's a huge, tall corner. He can man up on DK Metcalf, who's also huge and tall. That'll be an interesting matchup to see how the two of them go at each other.
Yep.
Tyler Lockett is obviously a great corner. Or a great receiver. We don't really have that second.
Well, Jeremy Chin's back.
Jeremy Chin is back. He's a safety.
Yeah, but that gives you the help over the top.
Yeah, he can help over top with Tyler Lockett. Yeah, you're right. I'm not going to pick against us. I'm going to go Panthers. Oh, hey, listen.
I'm listening.
When they played the Raiders 3 or so weeks ago, Josh Jacobs ran for 300 yards. Josh Jacobs is a great running back, and he's not like a power back or anything. He ran for 300 yards. Deontay Foreman, since McCaffrey's been traded and he's been the starter, he's 5th in the league in rushing since that time. And granted, we've had a bye week. And so he's just completely pounding it like crazy. They can't tackle him once it gets towards the end of games. He's literally a mini version of Derrick Henry. He's playing phenomenal. I think that he can run crazy on this bad Seahawks rush defense. Sam Darnold has just got to play like he did last week against a very good defense in the Broncos, and he played very well. Seahawks defense isn't as good as the Broncos, and we scored a decent amount of points. I think we can hold the Seahawks and score more points, which is how you win football games, if you didn't know. So I'm going Panthers.
Whoever scores the most wins.
This might come as a shock. I'm going to agree with you.
That's a very big shot.
I'm agreeing
Did
with you.
not see that
Neither
coming.
did I.
Oh, okay.
I'm going Panthers
on
as
an
well.
island.
Like you said, Kenneth Walker probably not playing. If he does, obviously, I'm sorry, but I don't think you stand a chance if Kenneth Walker plays.
Yeah.
With him not playing, I think that you stand a good chance to win this game. Your defense is back with some players back from injury. They're healthy again, and they are very good. The Seahawks have hit a bit of a cold streak in their winning, in their big explosive plays. Geno Smith is still playing well.
Barely beat
not
the
as
Rams
well as he did, though.
Yeah, barely beat the Rams last week.
Barely beat the Rams. I am going to go Panthers here. Sam
Yes.
Darnold just needs to not throw 50 interceptions.
So I'm going to be on an island, I guess. And that island is going to be the Seahawks island. I'm going to take the Seahawks. We've just finished saying that somehow, some way, you lose Russell Wilson and you almost get better
Oh, you get way better.
with Geno Smith. Which, if the Seahawks want to, and they're not thrilled by the quarterback class coming up because they do have a good pick, they can just ride with Geno again next year, possibly pick somebody up if Jimmy G doesn't re-sign because he's still injured, although I've heard he might be coming back. And then, get somebody else in the draft, get a bigger playmaker, get a better running back. But that's the other thing, too. Pete Carroll consistently seems to produce running backs. I mean, Skittles has been gone for a while. And they are just tearing it up. I mean, and I know he's out this week, but I will say that I'm going to take the Seahawks because I think they find a way. I think that's that team. Somehow, some way, again, they just find a way to win. This isn't because I'm, none of the Browns, Carolina stuff. I honestly think the Seahawks are going to win if I'm wrong, and wouldn't be the first time I've ever been wrong.
Yeah. I know we've talked
Won't be the
about
last.
potentially this week having Austin and Debbie and Sue Ellen maybe potentially having a couple people over in my basement watching the 1 o'clock games on Red Zone because you guys don't have Red Zone and you need to experience Red Zone to get the feel, So we're talking about having you guys over. But we said the only rule is once 4 o'clock hits or 4:05 or whatever this time is, everyone has to leave because I need to be alone in my basement, able to pace in my basement and yell at my TV and throw my phone at a wall. I need to have that for myself.
So I would say the opposite, only because I think the accountability might be good for you.
Probably would be. Probably would be. All right. Buccaneers at 49ers. Biggest question for this game. Obviously, Buccaneers coming off a big comeback win against the Saints. Big for them because that keeps them first in the division. The biggest question for this game, how will Brock Purdy do?
Oh,
Great.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is probably the first game in NFL history that a 7th round QB and a 6th round QB have both started in the game against each other, which is crazy.
Probably.
And He played great last week against a good defense in Miami. Like we kind of like with the Huntley thing, with 0 reps in practice. He was Mr. Irrelevant. He was obviously not the starter, and now he's getting reps in practice after performing very well last week against a Bucs team that should have lost to the Saints. I mean, if it wasn't for a couple of plays here and there, miscues by the Saints, nothing the Bucs did, miscues by the Saints, they lose that game to a very bad Saints team. And I think all Brock Purdy has to do is just not turn the ball over. I mean, he's got Christian McCaffrey, he's got Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, a superstar defense. I mean, you just got to get the ball to your playmakers, and you can win the game.
Yeah, I'm going to take San Francisco. They look real pretty.
It's good. It's good.
Real pretty. Only because, like, this week as I was doing a little digging, too, like, I didn't know that this Purdy guy who played for Iowa State, right? I mean, Iowa State, no offense to Iowa State, but it's Iowa State. It's the Cyclones. I didn't know he was recruited by Alabama.
I did not know this either.
Yeah, so Saban wanted him, so Saban saw something in him. So when it came to Mr. Irrelevant, San Francisco was like, we need another quarterback.
How do you say no to Alabama and choose to go to Iowa State?
I don't know.
Probably because he knew that he wouldn't start at Alabama, but he could start at Iowa State.
Yeah, maybe he didn't want to come. Well, I don't want to say he didn't want to compete because clearly, like I saw him on the field last week a little bit, and I was like, oh, he definitely wants to compete. Like he
wants it.
Yeah, he's got fire in his stomach.
I did not know about that. That's interesting that he was recruited by Bama.
Yeah, and he chose to go to Iowa State. So it's not like he's, just now making a name for himself. Like in the collegiate world, he would have at least had some clout coming in, was probably a 4 or 5 star recruit out of high school. But yeah, he played really well. Man, San Francisco seems to have a plethora of quarterbacks. I don't know if Seattle wants to look at that next year.
Or
maybe Denver wants to make a trade.
Yeah, I mean, one of the more interesting storylines here is that this is Tom Brady's 22nd NFL season, and Brock Purdy is 21 years old. So Tom Brady's been playing longer than Brock Purdy's been alive.
No, the broadcasters are just
they're going to love that one. They're going to say that at least 50,000 times.
Well, Tom's from Cali, like North Cali, too. So that's going to be a
all these storylines.
The
announcers love these storylines.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 49ers scheme is going to keep Brock Purdy very comfortable. Obviously, if you can perform as well as you have with Jimmy G, who is, let's be honest, not that great of a thrower, literally anyone can perform well in that system, which is once you get ahead, start running the ball.
Maybe Brock Purdy is an upgrade over Jimmy.
Maybe. We'll see. The San Francisco 49ers, like you said, have more weapons than the U.S. Army. I think as long as Brock Purdy doesn't mess it up, doesn't turn the ball over, doesn't make stupid decisions with the ball, keep it simple, play smart football, 49ers win this handily.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right, Caden.
Here we go.
We know how much you love the Chargers, but will they be able to stave off the might of the Miami Dolphins?
This is very tough. I think this is a very exciting game. I'm looking forward to watching this one. I mean, the Dolphins are an electric offense, and Justin Herbert is electric alone on his own.
Is this a Chargers pun, or do you really believe that?
No, I really believe that. I didn't even think about that.
I wasn't sure.
The Chargers defense, obviously not great. The Raiders put up 27 points on them.
24th in the league.
Yeah. What's Miami's?
16th. Not that much.
Mike Williams is expected to play, so he'll probably get a catch or two and then leave again with an injury. This is very
Just
tough.
say it.
Oh,
Say it.
Yes, I know where you're going.
Say it.
It's hard because obviously I think Herbert is a great QB, top 5 QB. Go watch Caden's Corner. And Harold,
Go watch Caden's Corner only for the views,
top
not
10.
for the take.
He's top 10. He's not top 5.
he's top 5. Harold
No.
and I have debates over this weekly, every Sunday pretty much at church, and every Wednesday night, and then another time during the week whenever we see each other. It's just a constant thing, like it's almost like we made that Caden's Corner directly for Harold. But
I see.
of all weeks for me to maybe pick against the Chargers because they're playing a team like the Dolphins, of course Harold's on this week. And so I know I'm going to get flamed if I do it. I'm going to go I'm rooting for the Chargers. Justin Herbert is top 5. But I don't know if they have the defense to stop this team. The Dolphins are coming off of a loss, so they're going to avenge that. I'm going to go Dolphins. Yeah, end of story.
So I'll just
Wait, you said you're going Dolphins?
I did.
picking the Dolphins. I mean that actually just gives me a little bit of satisfaction knowing that there's just the thinnest line of doubt that Herbert may not be a top 5 quarterback. That he's actually top 10. I'm not saying he's a bum. I'm not saying he's bottom tier.
Top 5
I'm just
quarterbacks
saying
always lose. Hey, I'm still thinking he's easily
Mr.
a top
Irrelevance
5.
always win against the
top
Dolphins.
5 quarterbacks always lose. Wow, I wonder
No,
how
that's
they
not what I
make it
said.
to the top 5 then.
No, they always lose eventually. Like Patrick Mahomes lost last week. He's 0-3 to Joe Burrow.
Against another top 5
Joe
quarterback.
Burrow's not top 5.
Joe Burrow's not top 5, but Justin Herbert is.
Yes.
So before this conversation digresses, when I was looking at the stats, because I'm not going to change Caden's mind until Justin actually does not perform consistently.
Oh, don't get me wrong. When Herbert throws for a lot of touchdowns, I'm gonna be texting you and be like, "This is why Herbert's top 5."
Caden and I do have also a little bit of action on the side because we have a bet on.
It's gonna finalize when I'm 30 something.
No, because Herbert's going to crash out of the league in about 5 years, and he's not going to be in the Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. But anyways, again, just look.
What's the bet?
So the bet is if Justin Herbert doesn't make the Pro Football Hall of Fame, inducted, bronze bust,
Yeah.
Okay.
right? Not for doing something weird or dumb, and they have one exhibit about him, but he has to actually get a bronze bust, be inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. If that doesn't happen, Caden and I are going to have a meal together, and Caden's buying.
Which at the time I'd be an adult, so it's who cares? I mean, not who cares, but it's not like now where I'm working twice a week at the hardware as a high school job.
You'll have money.
I expected there to be more on the line.
Correct.
But I'm going to take the Dolphins. Here's why. Their offense is 4th. The Chargers is 17th, even though they have a top 5 QB. The defense is 16th over 24th, which isn't much. But passing, Tua is 2nd in passing, and the Chargers are 6th. So those are pretty close, but still far away. And then in rushing, 28th and 31st. So this game's going to be done in the air. Here's the X factor for me. Tua was selected after Justin Herbert.
Mm-hmm. Tua was 5th, Herbert was 6th.
Are you serious? Really?
Mm-hmm.
I thought for sure. Wow, are you real?
Mm-hmm. Because one pick later and the Panthers would have had Herbert. They said they would have drafted him.
Man,
And
I
I'm
thought it was
so mad.
backwards. Man, I had that wrong. Okay. Well, I still think that Tua's got something to prove and that the Dolphins will pull this out over the Chargers.
Well, I like that. Herbert needs to prove that he's better than Tua because he was drafted later. I like that.
But he won't because he's not.
He's top
He
5.
sucks. No, I don't think that this game. I mean, when you look at this game, I don't see how you have any inclinations towards the Chargers. I think that the Dolphins' offense is better than the Chargers. Obviously, their passing is better than the Chargers. Maybe that doesn't come down to the quarterback. Maybe it just comes down to the weapons you have on the field. And when you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on the field, opposed to maybe Mike Williams, maybe Keenan Allen, I think that the Dolphins win this. When you look at the coaching, I think that the Dolphins have the better coaching
Well, for sure.
by miles than the Chargers. So I'm going Dolphins, and they got pretty much destroyed by the 49ers last week. And that leaves a bad taste in anyone's mouth. So I'm going to go Dolphins. And there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to win this one soundly.
Nice. We all picked the Dolphins. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't either.
He didn't even know he was going to pick the Dolphins still right now. All right, so that's the Sunday night game. Now, Monday night, Patriots at Cardinals, 6-6 v 4-8.
This is going to be a boring game.
This is going to be pretty boring. The only reason that this might not be a boring game is...
You have Kyler Murray.
Well, I have Kyler Murray, so I hope that he goes off. But no, the Patriots will have 11 days of rest and preparation because they played
Thursday.
last Thursday. And so they have 11 days of rest and scheming. And Bill Belichick on 11 days of scheming.
Well, the Cardinals had a bye, so they
Scary.
have 14 days of scheming.
Yeah, but it's the Cardinals.
That's true.
Do you think their coaching staff's going to be doing the scheming that Belichick's doing? I don't think so. I think that while the Patriots' defense has historically this year not been good against running quarterbacks, I think that they still win this one.
Yeah, give me the Pats. Belichick cut his teeth with Saban at the Browns, so he's got success running through his blood. And then the other thing is these teams are really evenly matched if you look at their statistics, except for, and I hate to do this to you, but except for their defense. New England has a 6th rated defense in the league.
Right, but they're not good against running quarterbacks.
They'll find a way.
Fundamentally, the Patriots defense is rock solid, but as soon as you get a quarterback that gets out of the pocket and starts breaking down the play, where now all the receivers are running one way and you're not covering them, you don't have your zone coverage starts to break down, it messes everything up.
Yeah, I still think Belichick finds a way. Pat's easy.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree with that. Their defense is just too good, and the Cardinals are just kind of falling apart as the weeks go on. Kyler Murray he took a lot of shots at the play calling last time they played. They're just really struggling. Give me the Patriots. Maybe they struggle against running quarterbacks because they don't know how to adjust to that because they've been used to Tom Brady for like 20 years and now Mac Jones, literally 2 of the slowest quarterbacks I have ever seen. So,
well, some of that will be interesting to see if they run a spy on Kyler or if they just try to use contain and not overrush with their defensive ends. But like we talked about preparation, Belichick probably doesn't even know which video game unit is hot right now. And let's be real, like Kyler's been.
he's like, wait, video games?
Oh, dude. Yeah, ever since Call of Duty came out.
No, I mean, Bill Belichick's probably thinking like, whoa, what are video games?
Yeah, that's always been doing. So.
All right, so that was the Monday night game. So let's jump in and see how our picks stacked up. All right, we all picked similarly. Looks like Caden and I only differed on 2, so that's not going to help with the
No,
the
wait.
Waffle House.
Hold on. 3. Oh, wait, no, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's
that's me on the Seahawks.
Yeah, 2 on Seahawks. Pretty good stack up there. Obviously going to keep it close on the Waffle House train. I have a chance to go 102 and you go to 114, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully I just bring that lead down a little bit. Yeah, good stuff.
I feel like if you just keep chipping away at it, you still have you're not mathematically eliminated.
No,
not
regular
at all.
season plus the playoff.
Right, regular season plus all the playoffs.
The Super
and that's
Bowl is
like 5
100
weeks.
points.
Yeah, and I'll just
Right, exactly.
I'm gonna come visit whoever's there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right,
I mean,
right,
we're
yeah.
all gonna be there.
Yeah.
Just the one person who loses is gonna have a way worse time having to eat 1,000 waffles. You know.
Well, I mean, I'll make an appearance. I wouldn't
Yeah, you
guarantee
won't-
that I'm gonna be there for the 16
yeah.
hours. Or whatever.
It's not going to take me 16 hours.
Yeah.
Sorry, not going to take Caden 16 hours to eat all those waffles.
He's giving up.
No, I still say the legitimate
Yeah, he
chance. I have
does.
like 8 weeks.
I started sweating this week. I was like, this isn't in the books. You know.
It was looking like it was going to be.
But
But then you had one bad week and I had one
if
really
this
good
was
week.
last week, I would have picked the Chargers over the Dolphins. But my gut is telling me that the Dolphins' offense is too good, so I had to
You have to actually be making smart picks instead of the stupid picks that got you into this position to begin with.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yet, who's up by like 12?
Yeah, for now.
I just like they didn't pick Herbert. There's
Yeah.
this shred of doubt. Just kind of.
I should have
It's
thought
not,
it snuck
it's no
in there.
doubt. It's no doubt.
It snuck in there. All right, Caden, you want to close this out?
So yeah, Harold, thanks for coming on. This is our 3rd guest. It was a lot of fun. We love having guests. Is there any shout outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, I guess I would be remiss if I didn't shout out my wonderful, beautiful wife at home, Heidi, and my 2 girls.
Who are definitely listening, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure they were. Like they're all excited again. Like I was,
Yeah.
telling them a couple times this week. Like, hey, Dad's got to do some research. I know I'll be there in a minute. But other than that, yeah, just shout out these gentlemen. Thank you, Debbie, for everything you do. Sue Ellen, and Austin and Kaden. I really appreciated you having me here. It was really fun because it's something I get to watch and then get to see the inner workings and stuff. It was really cool. And last but not least, I'm going to give us a good old, here we go, Brownies, here we go.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, we're glad we were able to come on. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for watching this episode of the K&A Football Podcast. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching this episode of K&A Football. You can listen to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and we're also active on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts.
If you made it this far in the video, thank you. You're a real one. We'll see you next time.